So Donald Trump just won the endorsement of the National Black Republican Association. Mr. Trump has promised that he will get black people all kinds of great things. He's responsible for quotes such as, "I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks." And after coming under criticism for what many people saw as a string of derogatory remarks about black people, I have a great relationship with the African Americans, as you possibly have heard. I just have great respect for them, and they like me. A video of a Trump campaign operative interviewing a black woman in a low-income area who was holding Trump campaign materials and praising Trump was recently released on the internet. Now, while there are a lot of questions about the video, including why the woman keeps glancing up to her right and away from the camera as if she's glancing at Trump cards, the video's been shared all over social media and is making quite a splash. People claim it's proof of the Donald's ability to connect with low-income black voters. We've yet to see what impact all of this will have on black voters. But, black voters aren't the only ethnic group Trump's targeting. He's making an across-the-board effort to woo minorities, including Jewish voters. When Cruz mocked Trump's liberal New York values, Trump's super PAC and campaign told the people of America that Cruz's statement was an anti-Semitic insult, as Trump went on TV and told the American public at large that the comments were an insult to the heroes and victims of 9/11. Trump spoke before the Republican Jewish Coalition Presidential Candidates Forum on December 3rd to lay out his case that he would be the best choice for Jews and for Israel. Trump has consistently tried to paint himself as a good choice for the Jewish people, and his opponents as anti-Semitic. Like most politicians, Donald Trump divides people up into identity groups and tries to cater his message individually to each group and convince him that they will receive special treatment under his administration. So, are you a minority considering voting for Donald Trump? If you are, I would highly recommend that you delve with me a little farther into the Donald's attitudes and record concerning race. As an American of mixed race heritage, including Jewish, let me start with what's most personal to myself. How does the Donald view Jews? Let's start by going back to the Republican Jewish Coalition Presidential Candidates Forum. Donald Trump attended this event for one reason alone: to get the support of Jewish leaders to help woo Jewish voters in America. How ironic then that Trump's comments were nothing but a series of insulting and anti-Semitic stereotypes. I quote, "I'm a negotiator like you folks were negotiators," followed by, "Is there anyone in this room who doesn't negotiate deals? Probably more than any room I've ever spoken." Clueless doesn't even come close here. How could a man walk into a room of people who have experienced such stereotypes and such close-minded ways of thinking their entire life and think that he's going to win their support by spouting insulting stereotypes? He continued, "You're not going to support me even though you know I'm the best thing to ever happen to Israel. And I'll be that. And I know why you're not going to support me. You're not going to support me because I don't want your money. Isn't that crazy?" Yeah, Donald, that is crazy. That's completely bat-turds crazy. He finished his comment by saying, "You want to control your own politician." This is coming from the man who refuses to acknowledge Jerusalem as the undivided capital of Israel, from the man who uses his own money to buy political influence continuously. That was one event, in an event where he intended to woo Jewish voters. The man has a long history of anti-Semitic comments. Let's switch now to Trump's opinion of the blacks. Then we'll get to the most telling evidence of Trump's attitude toward minorities in general. So once Donald decided to run for president, he started promising black people loads of free stuff and talking about how he loves the blacks. What does Donald say about the blacks when he's not trying to woo them? How about we start with, "If Black lives matter, then go back to Africa. We'll see how much they matter there." Does that sound like someone who respects black people in America? It sure doesn't sound like that to me. Earlier in the same speech, Trump stated that because Obama was elected president, racism no longer exists. This is a statement so absurd that everyone in the country, except a tiny minority group of crazies, can see how messed up it is. We're in a country full of racism. There's white racism against blacks, black racism against whites, white and black racism against Latins, Latin racism against blacks and whites, etc., etc., etc. Let's be honest. I'm not saying racism defines us or that we're worse than any other place in the world. We've come a long way in this country, and racism is not half as prevalent or potent as it used to be. But to say that it does not exist at all is pure denial. Ironically, the man making that statement is walking proof that racism does exist. Let's see how that quote meshes with other things Donald said. I quote, "A well-educated black has a tremendous advantage over a well-educated white in terms of the job market. I think sometimes a black man may think they don't have an advantage, or this and that. I've said on one occasion, even about myself, if I were starting off today, I'd love to be a well-educated black because I think they have an actual advantage." Or would you, Donald? So I guess he does believe in racism, but only against himself. Wow, I never realized that Donald Trump was so self-centered. No, wait, I did. I could go on all day about Donald's racist quotes. Quotes like, "Black guys counting my money. I hate it. The only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys who wear yarmulkes all day." But remember, folks, he loves the blacks and those dirty money-grubbing kikes, too. Need more proof? How about laziness is a trait in blacks? Or, our great African-American president hasn't exactly had a positive impact on the thugs who are so happily and openly destroying Baltimore. Okay, I'm going to tick a lot of people off here and say that I don't think the word thug is racist. I don't. Thug refers to a criminal who bullies people to get what they want. The word has been used almost exclusively to refer to white people and Jews for most of its existence. I do not think it's a term targeting black people just because black people account for most of the crime in this one case. But the sarcasm of our great African-American president makes the racist intentions of his words clear. Like I said, though, I could go on all day talking about the racist things the Donald has said. Let me move on to something even more telling. His endorsements. Do you think that his endorsement by the National Black Republican Association means that he's a friend of black people? There's one endorsement in particular that exposes his recent endorsement by the NBRA as the result of the political pandering that it is. Donald Trump has been endorsed by the American Freedom Party. How bad can that be, right? That's a pretty cool name. Anyone can agree with that. We all love freedom, right? We're Americans. What is this American Freedom Party? Well, it's a group of radical neo-Nazi white supremacists whose members have praised everything from Hitler's genocide to Dylann Roof's horrific acts. Not only has Trump refused to distance himself from this group or denounce their message and what they stand for, but he is letting their super PAC run millions of dollars of ads for him in Iowa. While there's no proof that Donald's campaign is in direct communication to coordinate efforts with them, the group is certainly doing its best to coordinate with Donald's campaign. Where is Donald denouncing this group? Any other candidate from either end of the spectrum would have by now. Then there's the neo-Nazi website dailystormer.com, who ran the headline, "Filthy Jew Mark Levin attacks glorious leader." Do you know who the glorious leader they refer to as? Here's a hint. It's the same guy the other skinheads at Stormfront forums have picked as their white power candidate, Donald J. Trump. Funny how all these neo-Nazis all seem to mistakenly think that Trump is one of them. Mark Levin spoke out strongly about these remarks. Do you know who didn't criticize them? Right again. Our glorious leader didn't want to alienate his white power base by criticizing those cretins either. After all, this is the same Donald Trump who literally retweets posts by a neo-Nazi Twitter user and huge Donald Trump supporter who frequently assaults other Twitter users with the N-word and posts pictures of Donald Trump dressed as Hitler gassing Jewish Bernie Sanders in a gas chamber. A supporter whose Twitter profile can be seen at a glance as a shrine to white supremacy and genocide. Has Trump tried to distance himself from this creep either? No, he shares his tweets instead. These skinheads are not the only white supremacists and racists who have endorsed Trump. He's beloved around the world by bigots, from the folks at Stormfront and Daily Stormer to the accused Serbian war criminal, pardon me if I slaughter his name, Vojislav Šešelj, who belongs to the League of Communists, who belonged at once to the League of Communists and founded the Serbian Radical Party, a nationalist, white nationalist party. He's a man who's currently awaiting a verdict for his alleged involvement in war crimes and crimes against the humanity at The Hague. So what do all these skinheads see in Trump that the National Black Republican Association has missed? Maybe the NBRA is simply blinded by his pandering false promises of free stuff. Let's be honest, folks. Trump is no friend of minorities. He's no friend of Americans. What's your opinion on this? Comment below.